recording, and then this will be live streamed in our private Facebook group as well. So with that, it's my pleasure to welcome all of you to this event organized by We Are Pistachio. We're the only membership community built by relocating spouses for each other. And our vision is that no relocating spouse is ever alone. And our mission is to unlock the personal, professional, and economic potential of every relocating spouse. Now, while we primarily exist to serve relocating spouses, we are an inclusive and diverse and global community. We welcome everyone who is interested in furthering their personal and professional development in their career journey. So we welcome everyone and thank you for being here today. We offer upskilling events like this, where you learn about how to upskill yourself, mentorship pods, and networking events. So you can network with like-minded peers, mentors, and so on. We also have a private Facebook community. We'll drop that in the chat for those of you who are interested. It's a community of relocating spouses. Since January 2020, we've done 35 upskilling events, 20 networking events, and 3 mentorship pods. My name is Aditi Patel, and I'm founder of We Are Pistachio. I've relocated many times over, and I'm also joined. My partner in this venture, in this wonderful ride, is Deepali Paul, who is also here. She is co-founder and has been an entrepreneur thrice over. Together, we are on this mission and this vision to ensure that no relocating spouse is ever alone. We're joined by several of our team members who are on this call today, Isha, and we'll be meeting Varsha very shortly. So we often get asked why pistachio? Well, we take inspiration from the humble nut, and there are 5 reasons why. So just like the open shell, relocating spouses are open to possibilities. That's why they move. They are happy. It's known as the happy nut in China. They're global, so pistachios are enjoyed all over the world. And as we just saw, we have someone from Australia who's joined in. Our community is very global. Just like the shell, the pistachios are tough. Many of our relocating spouses are starting over, returning to a career, have faced setbacks, but are very resilient. And the last one is our personal favorite. Well, you've got to be a little nuts to leave for a new place where you don't know anyone and you don't have a job and you don't have friends. So we always want to hold on to that nuttiness. Well, enough about us. I want to introduce you first to Varsha, who is Pistachio team member. She is a relocating spouse and the brainchild behind today's event. What makes this really special is that Varsha was in the same place where many of you are wondering what to do next as she aspired for a career in data analytics. So today she works as a business analyst and has a previous background in finance. She spent the last year learning different tools used in data analytics, and she'll be our facilitator for the evening. So over to you, Varsha.
Thank you, Aditi, for that lovely introduction. Very excited to be here today. I wanted to introduce everyone to our speaker for today, DeNisha Malone. She is a BI consultant, works with Microsoft, Google, and Amazon data customers, and she also consults in the use and administration of BI reporting tools in enterprise-level environments. DeNisha is super passionate about women entering the field of analytics. I've personally been to a few of her events, and I can really vouch for the fact that she brings a lot of passion and expertise to the table in all her events. Despite her busy schedule, she always makes time to mentor people into their professional careers. I'm really looking forward to our discussion today with DeNisha, and so grateful that she took out time for us today on a Friday evening, all the way from sunny Texas. And I just also wanted to remind everyone, as DeNisha is talking, I'm sure there will be a lot of questions that come up. Please feel free to type them into the chat, and DeNisha can address them once her talk is over. Over to you, DeNisha. I'll let you take it from here.
Thank you so much, Varsha, and thank you, We Are Pistachio, for having me. I'm so excited to be here. Let me share my screen. 1 second. Let's see. Okay, so today I will be talking with you all about data analytics as a career and just sharing with you my journey and my thoughts about that industry and how you can get involved and make it a career for you as well. Here's the agenda. First, I'll share a little bit more about me and what I do. I'll talk about other jobs in the data industry and what that looks like. I'll share what business intelligence and advanced analytics actually is and what you can do in that career. And I'll also give you tools and tips for success in any data job. About me, well, I have a bachelor's degree in business information technology from the University of Memphis, Tennessee. I am a business intelligence consultant and data solutions architect. I'm a global speaker for the data industry and also a speaker for diversity and inclusion initiative. I'm an author for online technical articles, which I enjoy a lot. I'm a user group leader and event organizer, and also an online instructor for my School of Intelligence. Here are some data analytics jobs, titles, and their salaries. The salaries do range based on your experience, so keep that in mind. But this, from my experience being in the field, this chart is very trustworthy. This is the most closest chart I can find with all of the roles and the salaries that align. I'm a BI and analytics consultant, so I have a high paid based on compared to the other job titles, but depending on your negotiating skills, you can really get paid just as much. You can be a metrics and analytics specialist. That's really just an analyst, someone who creates metrics and creates data models for other users to analyze data. A BI and analytics consultant, that's what you're gonna learn more about today and what that looks like. That's what I do. An analytics associate, that's just someone who, that's someone who works with the analytics team. So that could be it could be a data analytics, it can be someone who gathers requirements like a business analyst, someone who's just, who helps with the design and development of reporting. You have a big data analyst, which is the same thing as a data analyst. Big data just means that there's lots of information. So when you talk about billions, trillions of rows of information, that turns into big data. So a big data analyst, based on my experience, that's the most popular role in the data industry, just because everyone needs an analyst. They have a solution architect, which is part of what I do as well. A solution architect is someone who provides solutions and a way to get there using data. So that person will come into an organization and review the structure, the business model. So what programs are they using? What decisions do they want to make? And that solutions architect will design a solution that works for that company. An engineer is someone who works directly with the data. That can be the SQL Server or the Azure cloud, wherever the data is. The engineer is someone who manages that data directly. An architect is someone who works directly with the engineer. So that's someone who also manages the data directly, but they deal more with security and access, who can access and who can secure things. So they'll deal with the enterprise architecture. So how the enterprise is using tools and using analysis, the architect will have a close hand on that. And a business consultant, the business consultant will not have a lot of access to the data. That's just someone who knows the data model and who knows the strategy of the company. And that business consultant will be someone who can have a conversation with the CEO, the CTO, or some business user to understand the needs and wants and take them back to the technology team. If you have any questions throughout this event, post them in the chat and we can answer them once I'm done with all of the slides. So now that you know the roles in data strategy, these are the specific responsibilities for a business intelligence and advanced analytics professional. So within that, BI and AA that's what we call it. Within that industry, from my perspective, this is my perspective, there are 3 different responsibilities or roles that you can fall under. A lot of times, many people will go from one role to another, or like me, I do all of these. So it's really dependent on what you want to do and where you see your career in the future. A consultant is the lowest level of a BI and AA professional. That person will improve the data strategy in an organization. They're usually someone who does not work in the organization. They're hired to come in and improve the strategy, and to allow for faster decision-making and for the business to understand their problems and figure out solutions. A consultant will also help or develop in reports, dashboards, and also they'll help in getting data, querying those data tables from the server. So they'll help with creating business intelligence reports and also getting data for others to create those things. A consultant will also recommend better practices, which is the biggest responsibility for a consultant, is to make recommendations. So that's where they'll recommend better practices for that organization based on their strategy. A consultant also trains users to do whatever their role is to align better with the best practices and also the business model for whatever company that consultant was hired for. The next level of BI and AA is to be a developer or a solutions architect. This person is more hands-on with the information and they're more hands-on with projects. They'll create solutions that align with the company's data strategy. Most times a developer is someone who works within the company, but you can also be contracted. So if you're working with a contracted company, you can get hired as a developer consultant. So you'll be a consultant who's developing. A developer will also create reports, dashboards, and any BI asset for the organization. So that can be data models, that can be embedded reports, that can be just Excel spreadsheets. So any kind of tool that's going to help the company make decisions based on data, a developer is going to be the one to develop those things. A solutions architect and developer is also going to document steps for others, which is important because a lot of times when you create something, someone's going to come after you and have to modify it or replicate it. So as a developer, it's expected of you to document your projects and your steps so others can understand what you've done. A developer will also query servers and transform data tables. What that means is that if you're working directly with the data, you have access to the data. As a developer and solutions architect, most times you'll get a request to provide data. So to provide an export of data or to modify and transform what raw data looks like. So you'll have to have that skill of querying a server, which means getting data for someone else to access, or transform the data tables, which just means making data more readable and to make more sense of information. A developer and solutions architect will also have to export data for third-party analysis. A lot of companies use third parties. For instance, they'll use a consulting company instead of hiring a consultant. And most times, if they're using a third party, they're gonna ask for their data developer or solutions architect to provide information to that party. So you'll have to know how to export data, raw data, and provide this information to that third party so they can do their analysis successfully. The last branch of the BI and AA profession is to be an administrator. To be a business intelligence administrator is a great position. It's really my favorite of all because you have a high level view of the data platform in that organization. You're able to monitor the resources that's being used in BI tools and servers. So many times when you start to learn a tool, you realize that If it's starting to be used for a large enterprise, then that company will have to pay for licensing. They'll have to pay for resources to run data at fast speeds, and they'll be paying for performance. So along with those licensings and performance increases comes monitoring resources. So an administrator will be the one to monitor resources to make sure no one is using too much of something that they don't need. An administrator will also manage user access and licensings for intelligence tools. Once at the point of needing an administrator, which every enterprise needs a BI administrator, you'll have users with licensing. So that administrator will manage who gets a license, what kind of license they get, and also user access. So who has access to what. The administrator works directly with developers and solutions architect because they have to know what data is there. The administrator also supports users with access problems and development help. So the administrator becomes like a support system for any BI user or someone who's using the data, and if they're having a problem, then it's expected for that administrator to be able to point them in the right direction for a solution or to provide the solution. Administrators also assign business intelligence roles and monitor activity. And that's just that the assigning the roles goes hand in hand with assigning the licenses. So once you get a license, then you know what kind of role you'll have in the organization. And it's expected for the administrator to be able to provide responsibilities along with the license. And monitoring activity is monitoring user activity. So in a lot of the data, the BI world, you're able to have, it's a data world. So you have access to data at any of these levels, really. But if you're monitoring activity, you're able to see not just the sales data for the business, but you'll be focused more on the user data for whoever is using the BI tool. So if someone's creating a lot of reports they're not being viewed, then that's the kind of data that you see, and you'll have more hands-on control of the user development data rather than the business data. Administrator also will recommend updates. So a lot of the BI tools, Power BI specifically, updates every month. So as a Power BI administrator, I will recommend updates whenever, for instance, after three months of not updating Power BI, I would recommend that it will be updated in the enterprise just because it updates every month. So those kind of conversations happen with the administrator and the business. Okay, so that's really everything I do as a BI and advanced analytics professional. There are a few things thrown in, like training and I really listed everything. So that's really all there is to it. These are tools and tips that can help you be successful in the data industry, regardless of what role you choose. You want to first learn a BI tool. Learn the tool that's going to work for you. There are different ones. Microsoft Power BI, my favorite. I think it's the easiest just because it's my favorite, but that's a BI tool that's out there for you to learn. There's Tableau, which has been around for a while. Tableau is not as user-friendly and self-service as Microsoft Power BI, but it is a BI tool. There's just more steps in learning it, but there's a lot of quality to it when learning it. There's Amazon QuickSight, which is Amazon's BI visualization tool, and Microsoft Excel, which most of us are used to Excel, but Excel has a BI tool built in it called Power Pivot, Power Query, and you can also use that to start your BI journey and to understand if you're an Excel expert. If you're really good in Excel, that's a good way to understand BI and to transform your skills from just Excel spreadsheeting to actual visualizations and advanced analytics. And you also have Google Cloud Looker, which is just Google's version of their BI tool. You want to also discover SQL. Discover what SQL is and how you can use it in your own coding experience. SQL is used in any data platform, so it's very widely known across the data world. There's SQL Server. SQL Server is Microsoft's SQL tool. That's where they hold their data. It uses T-SQL. T-SQL is what I'm really good at. That's my preferred language when talking to data. And that's the one that's widely known across everywhere. So if you want to know SQL, learn T-SQL first, and then start to learn the different SQLs like PL-SQL. PL-SQL is for Oracle databases, which is also a server like SQL Server, but it's just a different tool. And then you have Amazon RDS, which is Amazon Redshift. That's another a server tool that uses SQL standard language. So T-SQL is really standard across all the tools. And also Google Cloud Platform, which is Google's version of a cloud server. You also want to join a data community. I'm smiling because my community is my heart, and I think regardless of what industry you're in, you want to join a community in that industry because it helps you learn, it helps you grow, it helps you skill up and figure out what you really like. So find a community and join the community. We have Power BI Women, which is where I met Barsha. And here you can join if you're a woman and you're interested in Power BI. Maybe you've never used it, but you're interested in it. Or maybe you are using it and you want to find a community of women that are using it too. Then join the meetup. It's meetup.com/power-bi-women and join us. We meet twice a month. There's also Amazon forums where you can learn more about Amazon AWS and Amazon's BI tools. And then you have the SQL Server community. SQLcommunity.com is where you can find other people that are in the SQL Server community. You can get questions answered, and you can also find out about events. The last thing here is to get educated. It should be the first thing, but it's the best for last. We're going to say it's the best for last. Is to get educated. There are these are my favorite websites to learn new things when it comes to business intelligence, data analytics, advanced analytics, strategy. Everything's here on these sites. There's edX.org, udemy.com, and coursera.org, and my own site, DeNishaM.com, where there's an online course for Power BI beginners. And today I have here for you all, if you go to my site, you can see in the online school tab, that course, the beginner's guide to Microsoft Power BI, where it's going to take you through the steps to learn Power BI as a beginner and also create your own visual report where you can share it in your own free space. Today, if you go in and sign up for the class, there's a 15% off code that they're going to post in the chat for you. If you use this code, you get the discounted price to start the course at your own pace. So once you have the course, then you'll forever have the course and you can finish it at your own pace. Okay, that concludes this session. Are there any questions? I'm going to open up for questions now.
Wow, that was really awesome and insightful. You packed in so many useful nuggets of information over there. Thanks a lot. I am noticing some questions on chat, and I can start reading them out to you, DeNisha.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So the first question that came up was, is coding required for BI professionals?
I would say it's not required, but it is a knowledge that you want to have to make you stronger in the industry. And the kind of coding, I'm not talking about JavaScript, like a whole coding, is more of querying. So SQL querying, the kind of coding that you would, I think the word code here is kind of confusing because you wouldn't really code in BI, but you create metrics and you create formulas. So that is a type of code, but it's really a 1 line or a 1 to 5 line metric that's going to get you a solution so your data makes sense. So understand metrics and how to create metrics using DAX. DAX, D-A-X, is a data analysis expressions. That's how you you would create expressions. So you have to learn how to create expressions, less of coding, more expressions. Thanks for that question.
All right. Thank you. That does definitely come up a lot for somebody getting started. And if you don't have an engineering degree or don't have an analytics background, that can overwhelm a bunch of people about the coding needs of a role like that. The second question is, and you touched on this a little bit during your presentation, was, are there any free resources to learn a BI tool? So free access to practice and tutorials.
Let's see. Well, YouTube. There's a lot of YouTube videos out there. I can't recommend any good ones. Well, Guy in a Cube. There's a lot of free stuff there. They're free. I have YouTube videos that are free. So if you go to my website, there are actually short videos there based on your knowledge in Power BI. So if you're a beginner, you can click on the fact that you're a beginner, and there's some beginner videos there for free. So I would start with those short videos. A lot of the full classes you have to pay for, but there's a lot of short videos. Power BI is free. It's a free tool. The only time you have to pay for it is when you want to add people, when you want to share. But if you just want to learn a tool, it's free. There's free data out there. Download a free data set and install and import it into your Power BI tool based on the videos that you find on YouTube to learn how to do that. And that's how you can get on your way and learn the tool for free.
Yeah, thank you, DeNisha.
Of course.
All right. So here's a question which I'm not surprised just came up. Sayali says, being in HR and not having a technical background, how hard is it to become an HR analyst?
That's a great question. I see a lot of my coworkers and colleagues move from departments to the technology department to become an analyst. The finance department, they're in the finance, they're in HR, they're in sales, and they want to become an analyst for that same department, but just work with the data. And that's an easy transition to do. What you want to do is start understanding, if you're already working in a company and you want to become an analyst in that company, then I would recommend for you to start to work with the analysts, shadow the analysts that are already there, and let them know that you're interested in doing that. So they can show you the kind of data that they use and show you the kind of reports that they actually create as an analyst. And then the skills that you want to learn how to create visualizations, learn how to tell a story. Data storytelling is a real thing. But when I first started speaking, my primary topic was data storytelling. So learn how to tell a story with data. But if you're an HR analyst, then you know the kind of data you have. You have employee data, you have new hire data, you may have some sales data, you probably have salary information. So you can find sample data sets. The best thing to do is to go online and look at HR visuals. What kind of report will an HR analyst produce, and see what kind of story they're telling with that report. But the best thing to do, honestly, for you, Sayali, I think her name was, is to go in your company that you're already working for, or maybe a company that you're interested in, and figure out what kind of data they have, what kind of tools they're using. Because if they're using SQL Server, then you want to just go towards those tools, because that's going to get you in the door faster. So if they're using SQL Server, if they're using Power BI, then that's the route that you want to take. But it's easy. You don't have to go back to school, ladies. You don't have to go back to school. All you have to do is get some certifications, get licensed. There are license classes on there. Get some certifications and licensing, and just get some knowledge and some experience under your belt.
Thank you so much, DeNisha. That was like very, very helpful information. And I'm looking forward, learning Power BI. So yeah, definitely I'll get touch with Meenal, I guess. Meenal is new BI. I heard about that. She transitioned from HR to BI. That's what I heard. Right, Meenal? So yeah,
Nice.
thank you so much.
My pleasure. Good luck to you.
Yeah. DeNisha, I know that Microsoft has this Power BI Data Analyst Associate certification. Do you want to talk about that?
There is a Power BI. There's a Power BI certification. I don't have it, so I'm just gonna throw that out there. I don't have it. I knew Power BI before they created certification. I actually helped them put the certification together by doing a trial run. So I just didn't find it necessary to do. But as now, I feel like if you're interested in Power BI, it is a good way to be recognized as a professional in that tool if you do get the certification. But I wouldn't say it's going to stop. If you don't have it, it's not going to stop you from moving up. I'm an administrator and an enterprise administrator at a really high level when it comes to BI, and I don't have the certification. So don't think you need to have it to get a professional job in BI or to even get a higher paid salary, because I get paid lots of money and I don't have the certification. And so don't think that's going to stop you. But if you want a path that's laid out for you with all of the skills that's necessary to be successful in Power BI, then that is going through the process of the certification could be a good idea for you.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, my next question is, and excuse me if I'm not pronouncing your name right, from Shiraz Marakachi. The question is, as a recent graduate, I'm looking for a career in BI and data analysis. Are there certain steps to follow to meet my goals? Did you want to clarify that question? You can feel free to go unmute because a big part of DeNisha's presentation went through that. So if there is a follow-up, you can unmute yourself and ask. Are you still there?
Yeah, I am. So my question is like, just in brief, as I'm like, starting my career, is there like, certain like, skills, like, I have to catch up, or, like certain like path to follow to kind of like meet my goal? That's basically my question.
Okay, well, first, congrats on your graduation. That's so amazing.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah, that's so amazing. I'm excited for you. That's good. Let's see. So you want to start your career, first figure out based on that list of different like data job roles. Then if you want to be just a data analysis, if you want to consult, I guess if you want to be a consultant, if you want to analyze data, if you want to be a consultant, figure out what works for you based on the different responsibilities. And if you still are kind of blurry about that, reach out to me. I can have a conversation with you. I don't mind doing that with anyone. So if you're still kind of blurry, then contact me and we can have a closer conversation. I can even narrow you down and figure out what role works for you. But once you find the role that works for you, you want to figure out the skills. SQL, just learn. I try to give you all like a broad, like all of the tools you need, but to be honest, you can go really far learning SQL Server, Microsoft, just stick with Microsoft. And then once you understand Microsoft's BI, you can really understand all of them. Just because Microsoft is leading in the BI industry, and a lot of the other organizations, the other tools are trying to become Microsoft. So if you learn through Microsoft SQL Server, Microsoft Power BI, Microsoft Excel, learn all of Microsoft's tools. Now, I don't work for Microsoft. I'm an MVP. Like I'm an MVP, but that's about it. They don't pay me to say these things. But I do think that their BI platform is set up really well for beginners. So don't scramble around doing Amazon, Google, all the other tools. They're great, but focus on Microsoft does really good with beginners. So go that route.
All right.
So I do have just another like follow-up question. Do you suggest maybe if I can actually, first of all, I'd like to get like more info. So if I can get like your contact, that would be like really lovely and supportive for me. And another question is like I have like I hear like suggestions from other people, like telling me maybe I can like start with like few internships or like like short-term kind of like positions, and then turn them into like full-time like positions. So maybe my first step for now is like to try to target like internships and get into that company, just to like it's like a doorstep for me to enter the career.
Yeah, I mean internships are always a good way to get in the door of things. But I want to just make sure that you do something that you do enjoy. So do your research to make sure that the internship that you choose is something that you enjoy, because you don't want to waste your time jumping from internship to internship. So if you take a really, like maybe take a short SQL class, you don't even have to do like a Power BI full course, because if you learn SQL and tell someone that I can query a database and get a spreadsheet of information, then that's a good skill. So take a SQL course, which could be like a 2-week course, just a really quick course before you apply for anything. And just have that, because to be honest, when you go into an interview and they're interviewing you for an internship or a part-time or full-time job, they're going to ask you questions that are technical. So you want to be able to respond to a technical question about SQL. You want to be able to respond to what a database is, what a table is versus a view, which is a question I'm pretty sure you're going to get asked, because as a BI developer, you access views, you access tables, so understand the basic questions that you will get asked, and you can just simply do that by looking up interview tips for SQL Server jobs. So that's a good way to enter, and it's also a good way to figure out if this is really what you want to do. So because it does keep you busy, it does. Yeah. So but I like it, so I mean you could like it too, but yeah, find an internship or find someone who's already working in the field and just allow for them to be your mentor.
Okay, yeah, that sounds really lovely and helpful. Thanks a lot.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you, DeNisha. I feel like all your answers are great and useful for pretty much everyone. All right, next up is Julia Richard. She's asking, are there some industries that use Power BI more than Tableau, or is the tool driven more by the company or the organization? That challenges some of your love for Power BI there.
Right. So I think that question, let me see, are there some industry that use Power BI more? So I think your question I want to feed off both sides, because it does depend on the company based on like what the kind of resources they have, what kind of skills their developers have. But a lot of industries use Power BI more than Tableau, just because Power BI is Microsoft, and Microsoft has the Microsoft O365, and Power BI is a part of that. So just like Microsoft Word, just like PowerPoint that I use today, Power BI is just like those apps. It's alongside those apps. So a lot of industries, they have it for free. Like they have Outlook already. If you have Outlook, then you're gonna have Power BI. So they already have it. Once Power BI was available to the general public, then all of these organizations automatically had that tool. So because of that, which is why I'm suggesting you learn Microsoft, because of that, a lot of companies use Power BI. And if they're not using Power BI, they have it in their organization and they're learning it. They have someone in there using it. They may use Tableau because they've been using it for a long time, which as a Power BI consultant, I see this most often is that someone is using Looker, someone's using Oracle. Oracle has its own visual tool, or they're using Tableau, but they're wanting to learn more about Power BI, or they're wanting to use both in their organization. And a lot of times this is because Power BI is self-service. As a business user, you don't have to be a data user to use Power BI. So a lot of companies like that idea, because if you're in HR, as someone mentioned before, and you have no analytics experience, but you need to figure out how many people, based on compared to last year, how many more people have we employed? That's something they're not gonna, Power BI allows for you to go in and do that yourself without any kind of analytics experience. So because of that, a lot of companies favor Power BI because they don't have to spend a lot of money on training users to learn a tool like Tableau. Tableau is very technical. You have to have a technical knowledge to do Tableau. You can't just drag and drop like Power BI. So a lot of industries do use Power BI just because of that self-service aspect.
Thank you. That's really helpful.
My pleasure.
Perfect. I'll do a quick time check, and I think we have time for 2 more questions. And there you go. We have 2 more questions to go. There's another question from Jayesh Patil. He says, what's the difference between data scientist versus BI professional? In terms of organizational maturity, are more companies into AI, ML, or deep learning versus analytics? Sorry about the background noise.
It's okay. Let's see. Let's break that down. First question: the difference between data science and a BI professional.
That's right.
So, data science, business intelligence is business information technology. It's business technology. The intelligence just sounds fancy, I think, but it's really business technology. It's business data. So, a BI professional is someone who can deal with the technology aspect of things and also deal with the people. I can sit in a room with business users, people who've never touched data, and have a conversation with them based on what decisions they want to make, what challenges do they see in the business. And I can take that conversation, go back to the technical team and say, okay, we need this table, join with this table to get this result to answer this question. So that's a BI, a business intelligence person does that. They're able to be that merge in between the business and the technology. A data scientist, they don't deal with the business users. They don't deal with the business users. They most of the time they're behind data. They're not, their meetings consist of other data people. They don't consist of a lot of business users. Most times the director or the CEO or the business owner, whoever's owning a product, they won't have a conversation with the data scientists. They'll have a conversation with the business analyst or the BI consultant. So that's really the difference. Does that make sense? I hope that answered your question. The first one. Was that the first part? Let's see, what's the second part to that question?
Excuse me on that.
Okay.
To have too much going on around my neighborhood. All right, the second part to this was, in terms of organizational maturity, are more companies into AI and ML versus analytics?
Okay, yes. Yes, they are. Companies are into everything data. So whatever that is, machine learning, artificial intelligence, and any kind of analytics, companies love it. But the thing is that a lot of companies are not mature enough to deal with the more advanced intelligence, like artificial intelligence or machine learning. Those things are more advanced, and most times they're still trying to modernize their data and to get it in the cloud. So they're still trying to create reports. Using Excel is very old school, as how we said in the South. That's really old school to use Excel and to create pivots, and that's really old. So a lot of companies are still using that because it's known, people know Excel. So most times what I see as a consultant is that companies are right now, they as a long-term goal, they want to do artificial intelligence, they want machine learning, so they don't have to hire someone to do those jobs. But short term, they're trying to modernize their data and use these BI tools and move out of these on-premise, like Excel, these documents. They're trying to move out of using someone to do the same job every week, and automate these processes. Business intelligence automates processes that someone will usually do manually. So right now, it's really analytics and intelligence. But the companies that have automated intelligence, like they're already moving past Excel reports and spreadsheets, printed spreadsheets. I just hate it because it's like, I hate manual work. I do. But a lot of companies that are still dealing with the manual spreadsheets and the manual export of data, once they modernize their data, immediately they do move towards the more advanced. How can we want to be able to create our own version of Alexa? A lot of companies like that. They like to have, because Power BI has artificial intelligence in it, it has machine learning. So now that you're using Power BI, you have all of these experts in your company that are good with Power BI. Everything's automated. The next thing you want to do is be able to say, Power BI, what were my sales for yesterday? And you can do that. So they start to there are levels to it, for sure.
Perfect. here's the last question, although I feel like we could go on for hours, but we are limited by time. So the last question is from the community in general. Aditi asks, many of our community, in our community, are relocating spouses who are looking to make a new career in a new place. What advice would you have for them as they consider starting a career in data analytics?
Well, find a mentor. I think finding a mentor is important. Just understanding, you want to understand what you want to do. Analytics is such a broad field. There are so many angles you can touch. So figure out if you want to deal with people, like if you want to deal with business people. I love talking with people who have no clue about data. Like I enjoy business intelligence because I enjoy talking to business users, and I also enjoy creating my own reports and creating my own products. So if you're like me, then you want to figure out, find others like me and like you, and join together in your own community. So you want to first step outside, like your typical communities or your social communities, and join a professional community that's gonna put you in network with others like you. More advice is to get certified. Like just take the free. If you don't want to pay, you do free YouTube videos. YouTube can make someone rich. Like everything's on YouTube. So if you can really just search anything on YouTube and start creating your own notes and learn the tool. The first thing you want to do is download Power BI. Download Power BI Desktop. It's free to download. Download it right now. There's a Google Power BI Desktop download, and download the 64-bit to your computer. So now at least you have it. You have it there. And the next thing you want to do is just pull in some Excel spreadsheets. Don't try to connect to a server because you probably don't have a server already. So the best thing to do is to learn BI through Excel spreadsheets. Go online and search some data. Maybe the first report I ever created was, and this is what got me my job, you ladies. The first report I created was I had free data that showed me every location of McDonald's in the United States. And then I had every location of Burger King in the United States. And then I had the obesity rate for every state in the US and the income for every state in the US. And then I had these are data spreadsheets, free data online. And the last table I had showed me the population, the state, the population, and then the year for that population to match with the year of when that fast food restaurant was there. And the purpose of this report, because you have to have a story, the purpose of this report was to see the correlation between the amount of fast food restaurants in the state, the income, and the obesity rate. And what I learned from that report, just all of this raw data from different places, is that the states that had the most fast food restaurants had higher obesity rates and lower income. Like that data was just random, and you put it together and you overlap it, you put it in a map chart and a bar chart, and now you see that's a story that I just told a story. So figure out a story that you can tell, find some data that you'll be interested in, and create your own report for fun. Create some stuff for fun. So I would suggest for you to do some things for fun. And those things for fun can get you a 6-figure position.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
That was great advice. DeNisha, I have one last question. If you are okay, I can ask that. I know we are kind of hard pressed on time. Do you think we can take one more question?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so the question is from Devyani Kadam. She says, I have 16 years of experience in software development with Java, SQL, and J2E. Before I took a 4-year career break. I started my relaunch journey recently, and I'm trying to figure out if I should go back to software development or data analytics. What advice would you give me to help me make that decision?
Well, I think because you already have experience in SQL. Well, first, I'm curious to know why you're stepping. Why would you want to step away from software development if you're already knowledgeable in that? What did not satisfy you in that role? I'm curious to know that. Do you mind sharing that?
Yeah, hi, this is Devyani. It's just after a career break, I'm trying to figure out if, going back to software development, or I should try something different, data analytics. I did enjoy development, and I was lead when I left my job. And so after a break, it's kind of a bit difficult now, to get back into the development. So I was trying to figure out, if I can try in the data analytics, or if there are any other options available.
Okay, well, based on that, I would say I think moving into a new skill is always great, because now you're going to broaden your horizon. You're still going to have those skills. That 16 years of experience in something, you know how to do that. I only have 5 years of experience in BI, and I'm known as an expert. So I feel like, you have a lot of experience. It's going to keep you far. So now there's no why not learn something new. And also, I think just based on my experience with developing application development, which is not completely software development, but you're still developing a tool. A lot of those things are getting automated. So you do it one time, and they're going to hire you to develop something one time, and then after that, it gets automated. They don't need you anymore. You can't do that with analytics. You can automate analytics, but they're going to need you to modify something happen. They have new data. There's a new column. A tool can't identify things like that. You have to have someone to go in and actually do those analytics. So just looking towards the future, I think that is going to be very beneficial to get those analytic skills, just because you're going to be less likely to be taken over by a robot.
Okay, thank you. And also, just a quick question. Are there any entry-level jobs available for data analyst?
Yes. If you've never been a data analyst, the first job you want to search for is to be a business analyst. Be a business analyst. A business analyst is someone who's you may not work directly with data, but you're going to work with the data analyst, and you're going to work with the business users. So you're really growing your way to become a business intelligence consultant. The business analyst is going to be someone, let me give you a use case. So I'm working in an organization, and I'm a director, and I tell my developers that, or I ask them that I want to have a report that's going to show me my sales this year, my sales last year, and a forecast. Like, I want to see a forecast. I want to see who sold what, all this stuff I'm asking for. Okay. So now I have a team I have a data scientist, and analytics, a data analyst, and I have a business analyst. And then I have my sales team. I have my HR. I have all these teams that have data, but they're like salespeople and stuff. So what that business analyst is going to do, there's a data analyst, there's a business analyst, there are these departments, and then there's me, the director. What the business analyst does is they say, okay, the director has asked for these 10 things in a report. I'm going to go to the sales team and see if they have this data. Do they have this data? Do they have this? If they say yes, I check it off, and I get wherever that data is, I get that documented. If they say no, I take that back to the director, and I say, okay, this isn't available in our company. We got to figure out how to get it. And then that sends me over. So you're really like a runaround person, but you're learning. That's a good way to learn what's in an organization. You're learning where the data is. You're learning who owns what data. And you're learning how to put together a story using real-time information without even you don't even need SQL skills to be a business analyst. It does give you a head up, because if you go to the sales team and they say, yes, we have all the sales data, here's the query, and you don't know how to run that query, you just give it to the data analyst, then that's a skill. You can run a query. You have to learn how to run a query, so you don't have to, you can be competent enough to do that. But yes, be a business analyst if you're interested to grow in this. Start the business level. The business analyst is the lowest level. That's the lowest entry.
Okay, thank you so much, DeNisha.
My pleasure.
All right. Thank you so much, DeNisha. That was awesome, wonderful. Not only did you answer the questions, but you gave us such great examples. So that puts a great perspective in, whatever you were trying to share with us. So thank you so very much.
Good. It's my pleasure. I do want to post I'm gonna post here my calendar. There's a calendar. I have a calendar. You can get a 15-minute session with me based on my availability. So go in if you have more questions. I'm gonna post it here. You can go in and schedule some time with me. I do try to break off and have these 15-minute sessions with people just to help you out.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm sure all of us here would love to grab that opportunity if we can.
Please do.
All right. So you can share the link on chat. Yeah, thank you everyone for spending your Friday with us, but don't go that soon away. I also wanted to share something more with you. So what We Are Pistachio is doing is that we are launching a data analytics career pod. So the reason behind it and why I am doing this is primarily because I started my journey into analytics a little over a year ago, and it started because I got curious about trying to enter into the world of data. It was super exciting to start with, but when I was a couple months into that journey, I realized there was just so much information available. And it became overwhelming very fast, and it took me a long time to figure out what are the good sources that I should latch on to get expertise in the tools. Who are the people I should talk to? And most of all, the hardest part of all this was doing it alone. And then I met Aditi and Dipali, who are the founders of We Are Pistachio, and they kind of pitched the idea that why don't you launch this data analytics pod? And I kind of grabbed that opportunity because to me it felt so personal. If I could condense my year-long journey into just a few months for someone, I think my mission would be accomplished. And that's where the genesis of the pod kind of began. So what does that pod involve? It is basically a 7-week accountability pod, where we meet every week for group sessions for 1.5 hours on Thursday evenings. What else? We'll have 2 panel discussions with data analysts from Microsoft and Amazon. Then we also have a data analytics, bootcamp organization who's going to come and talk about the courses they offer. They'll also talk about, what kind of projects you can do to build your project portfolio. And we have analysts that come from different industry verticals. We have someone from healthcare, we have someone from e-commerce as well. So you'll get a good breadth about the skills needed, what are the kind of tools that are used, and we'll also be sharing with you a list of curated resources that kind of will help you get started on your journey. So what are the benefits of that? The number one benefit, I would say, is a private community where you can make friends, share your frustrations. I'm sure there will be many, but of course there'll be wins, so you can share that too. You'll get advice from some great analysts at some of these top companies. The third thing is, it's structured, there's accountability, and there's peer support. So, if you're procrastinating on something or you're falling off the tracks, there's somebody to pull you along. Also, there's going to be much more clarity on the next steps that you take in your career. And lastly, lots of networking opportunities with data analytics professionals in a very low pressure, informal kind of an environment. So I'm pretty excited about how this will unfold over 7 weeks, and I would totally recommend you that you should give this a thought. And I'll let Aditi take over, and she can share details about how you can get register yourself and other logistical aspects of this pod. Over to you, Aditi.
Hey, thank you, Varsha, for your leadership and for the vision. And thank you, DeNisha, for just your generosity, the powerhouse of knowledge that you brought to us in this 1 hour. Really excited for your contribution. And just to add, DeNisha is one of the panelists in this pod. So this pod is 7 weeks. You can register on Eventbrite. We have an early bird pricing, and we have made it very, very affordable and accessible. So it's $79 if you register within the next week. That's over 7 weeks. That's probably like 1 coffee a week you might be spending, but this is an investment in yourself. I heard DeNisha speak about the power of mentorship, and community, and how important both those are. And we're trying to bring those to all of you. So the link to register is in chat. Right after we wind up, I, Deepali, and Varsha will hang around. If you have any questions about the POR, or if you would like to know more about our community and what we do, so we're happy to hang out. Do consider registering, and it's an investment in yourself and to upskill and connect, learn, and grow. With that, thank you everyone for coming on a Friday evening. That's testament to the fact that you are interested in your own personal and professional development, and that you're committed to upskilling. And that itself is a win. So kudos to all of you who attended. And once again, DeNisha, thank you, and thank you, Varsha. So with that, we'll end, and I will stop recording. But we always like to say the party continues, so we'll hang around